Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown.
This is Alpha.
And this is the art of letting go.
Letting go. Letting go.
All right, I just talked about, I like transparency. I told you guys.
Right.
So they just did that 2 seconds ago, and I just explained. I thought they dubbed it over, and they just did it twice, and it sounded exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I just feel even more embarrassed than I did 2 seconds ago when I first said that you guys did it really well. That's impressive, fellas.
Yeah, man.
That's
Appreciate
funny.
that. Appreciate that.
Impressive.
So what's going on? We got my boy Robert. I grew up. I've known you for a long time, man.
Yes, sir. You have
I knew you when you had like red and blonde, curly,
flowing
ass hair,
locks.
I've known Rob for a really long time. We went to high school together. We'll talk about all that in a second. My man T is in the building too.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And these are go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Well, we make up the Couple of Nobodies
Yes.
podcast, which my good friend Wayne Bennett was so gracious in letting us come into his house to do this, and he produces it for us. And it's funny because I met him again, re-met him, I'd say, at my nephew's birthday party.
Yeah,
and he talked about this podcast, and that's how I put the wheels in motion to start our podcast. And here we are.
Yeah, he literally was like, "Hey, man, I want to do a podcast," and I was like, "Come through."
Yeah,
and that's pretty much how it happened. That's that story.
Yep, 15 weeks.
T with the music. Go ahead, put it to the mic.
Nah, I'm not sure what just happened there, boys.
Put it to the mic.
My bad. Let me put the phone down.
We couldn't have done that on our podcast. We had to wait till you guys started yours to do that. Of course.
Right. It's all good.
My bad.
But so have you all? Have you all listened to The Art of Letting Go before?
I'm not gonna lie, I have not listened to it yet.
Okay, cool.
I have listened to a couple episodes. Yes,
that's all good.
And just on our last hour, I explained to Big Mike, which you guys will know that me and him are close enough now that I get to call him Big Mike.
Right.
But yeah, I was explaining how I listened to his last podcast, and I was really just inspired by hearing his words and just the way you guys go about the format. So I'm just excited to be on here with you guys.
Appreciate that. So we gonna start with Brother Mike. What we talking about tonight?
I appreciate you guys being on the podcast. I find it to be dope to be able to talk amongst men in a group. I was expecting you guys' podcast to be kind of silly, and it was silly, but we also had some very real moments. And I've been finding myself in situations of trying to be vulnerable in front of men, and I feel like I show that a lot, and I try to get that back, and I recognize a lot of brothers have walls up, and I guess as a collective, really just trying to understand how do we break those walls amongst each other.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I heard you on your last podcast when you were talking about your previous relationship and all that stuff that you got from the journal, and you said it was with a man. So do you find that black men have a harder time accepting you as a homosexual than other men just in general?
Nah, I don't. I thought that.
Yeah.
I thought that, but in my experiences, no. I actually feel like I get embraced, especially like from my friends. Like a lot of my friends definitely almost felt like became protective of me for that reason.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative.
Because I've always felt there was like, a bit of just the black community had a bit of a stigma towards like the gay community. And I remember my dad, my cousin is gay. I remember my dad talking to his mother, my cousin's mother, his sister, essentially. And this was right when me and Mark were kind of going out, hanging out with girls and stuff. And he was on the phone with his sister and, talking about how me and Mark were always running out. And he said it completely jokingly, but he's like, but at least I know they don't like men. And then he hung up. And I remember he turned to me and he was like, I fucked up. And this was like a clear moment for me. He's like, I should have never said that. He's like, that's not right. That's just not how people should talk. And that's not how people feel. So he called his sister back right away and he apologized. He's like, hey, you know, I know, Freddie's my cousin's name. You know, I know Freddie's gay. So I apologize and I didn't mean that. And at that time, I was too young to really like understand the message or what he was trying to get across. But I think that's kind of what I'm speaking to. Is my dad's an older gentleman, you know, and so I always felt there was like a weird kind of stigma that the black community had towards the gay community for an unspecified reason.
I agree with you. I feel like, because in my own life I was kind of taught that way. Mm-hmm. You know, for a long time for me, I lived in denial of being gay, just for the simple fact, you know, I mean, you see what a black gay man looks like. Mm-hmm. You know, that just wasn't me. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you have no other examples other than that, you know, that's how you create all these, you know,
yeah, you're figuring out along
closeted
the way.
people and
sure.
You know,
yeah, but I think within the black community too, we just don't talk about nothing.
I think it starts with the black church though. Because it be a lot of shit going on in the black church.
Absolutely. That
we just don't talk about. And all that shit stems down to people's families and shit. Because people don't want to be shamed. You know what I mean? And that's with like anything. That's like not just gay. It's like, you know, with anything people are doing, they just don't want to feel shame. So,
yeah, I feel that. I feel like it started with slavery.
Yeah, I think it's just a support system. Us as a black community,
Absolutely.
we don't support each other. We're real quick to, like you said, shame our fellow brother instead of, you know, uplifting them. And I mean, from what I can see, just even today, still like we're the only community, the only culture that does that to each other.
Good crabs in a barrel.
Yeah, we keep ourselves down. We're so quick to keep each other down instead of, you know, uplifting, you know, each other.
Man.
It's a shame.
But it's like, even with recognizing that, because I feel like a lot of us see that and a lot of us say it, it's like, what is your part? Like, what part are you doing in not being a part of that mentality? You know what I mean?
Well, my question would be because I'm probably coming from ignorance. Like, what can I do? Because I would want to do something, but I don't. I guess I wouldn't know how to go about it.
I mean, I feel like you doing it now. Like the fact that on your podcast you were talking about how you want to start to express yourself more. You want to learn how to do that, and you've identified that your biggest insecurity, but you know that that's not who you are. Like, I think you're taking the steps now to kind of do that, to become more of a well-rounded person who will express themselves. Like, I think it's already happening. Sometimes it's hard to see it happening, but I think that's what's going on right now from what I've seen and noticed since, you know, engineering y'all's podcast.
Yeah.
And I would think that just preaching awareness would help. I mean, because like Wayne said before you met Max, right? Before we had Max on, you actually asked the question like, is gay a choice, or is it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you're learning all this stuff as you go.
Yeah.
Whereas 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you weren't privy to this. So I think preaching awareness is the way you can help, because like I talked about on that podcast, like the word faggot, like that shit doesn't fly around me anymore. Like, you can't say it around me. And so like, I've had coworkers that have used that word, and I politely asked them not to do that. Yeah. And I just explained that like, I have gay men in my life that I appreciate and I love, and I wouldn't allow you, if he was standing here and he felt offended, I'd try to break your nose. So I'm not gonna let you do it with somebody who's not here.
Right.
And it's nothing more than just explaining to somebody that you know someone that is a good person, and they don't deserve to be thought of in that way. You know what I mean? Just like any other race, religion, creed, you know, it's just a matter of,
I think you got to just recognize that people are people, like humans are humans. Who somebody is fucking in their own time does not matter.
Yeah, for real. Man.
Unless they trying to fuck you.
You know, right.
And then it might,
it's a lot. I think people really focus on other people's lives so hard because they don't want to focus on themselves. Like I could focus on, oh, this motherfucker wear glasses. This nigga got a beard. You know what I mean? And be so fixed on that and so passionate about it. You could be like, why the fuck are you worried about my damn beard?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it could be for a number of reasons. I feel like a lot of niggas that really be real insecure or like just uncomfortable with the gay shit, man, you harboring your own feelings. And I only know because I've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But somebody that just don't really know nothing about it, I respect that because a lot of my homeboys ain't know shit about gay. Fuck, I'm learning still to this day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm learning myself, so I definitely don't have all the answers, but I think just communicating with people as people, because the same thing that I go through, you go through.
Yep.
It's not a gay experience or a straight experience. It's just a fucking life experience.
Yeah. Yeah, relationships are tough. Whether don't matter who you with.
Absolutely.
Don't matter who you with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the easiest statement I always heard about that is like when they wouldn't allow gay people to get married. They're like, "Well, let them be unhappy too. Like if they want to be happy, allow them to be unhappy." Like, but you know, that's it is what it is. It's just a live and let live. Like, just go about your business and worry about yourself.
Even going back to like choice, like who the fuck would choose? Like, just go out of your way to choose. You know what? I want to be discriminated against.
That's what I've always said. No one wants that. No one chooses to get ridiculed in whatever form, however it comes about. Nobody chooses that. Nobody chooses to have a rift where they have to come out to their parents, and that's tough for them. Nobody chooses that life.
Absolutely.
No one chooses that life.
I'm glad we're having a discussion. It definitely needs to be had more often. I wanted to get into you all, a couple of nobodies, and what you all want to talk about on the show today too. And I know there were some things that both of you kind of shared that you wanted to. I don't know what y'all gonna talk about, so let's just go ahead and get it. Rob, what you wanted to?
Well, shit. Let's see. Good thing we got nothing but time. I got all kinds of shit to look at. It actually changed today. So I will talk about the first thing that I kind of want to let go, and that was a riff that me and T had about our podcast, and it ties into my second thing because me and him had the discussion, and the discussion at the time didn't go well, but we were able to, like brothers, reconcile that after the fact, and it felt good to reconcile it after the fact because we're both. I mean, it's me and him. You know what I'm saying? It's just me and him in this, and so there's gonna be times where it is not gonna be roses and sunshine, and we're gonna butt heads about things. And I wanted to definitely let him know that it was all love, and like I would never, he's my brother. Like
that's what's
he's
up.
just my brother. So like if anything, if we ever butt heads about this, it's about this. It's compartmentalized to me to this, and I would love him however this turns out, for life. But I changed it today because I was doing some homework for school, and I read an article about the difference between obsessive passion and I forget the other one because I was obsessive, so that's all I read about. But in the article they talked about how you can be passionate about something, and it was actually related to physical ed teachers, and this is why it drew me to it because I was like, all right, I want to be a teacher. And so they talked about basically like PE teachers, how they might have some of them have an obsession for their job, and some of them, and I forget the other category, but the other category never gets burnt out because they don't essentially care enough about the job to get burnt out, if that makes sense. They're there for a paycheck. Whereas like the other group is obsessive, and they think about it all the time, and they let it get to them to a point where it's no longer essentially healthy, right? Not in a totally negative way, but you just want something to be a certain way, and you obsess over it, long story short. And so that's how I was about. That's how I am. I was gonna say about the podcast, but as I reanalyze it, like I'm pretty much like that about most things.
I feel that way too.
And if I really care about it, I think I need to find an obsessive balance. I think the obsessive part of me is going to keep me going, and it's going to make me successful, because if I actually give a shit, I'll have that mentality about it. But I need to maybe shave off 8%. You know what I'm saying? Like, find maybe a healthy balance to where right when I hit a certain level, I kind of release some of the stress. Does that make sense?
Do you know what you're looking for with it? Like, what are you looking for out of everything you're doing?
I don't yet, because I would say that this kind of obsessive passion, I'm just now starting to recognize. I think I knew that about certain things, but I thought it was just like a hyper focus. Like, I was like, oh, this is what I like to do, so I'm just focusing on this. I'm just focusing on this. But I'm starting to realize that it might be a bit of an obsession, which can be a good and a bad thing. So I guess like with the things I'm doing in my life, let's say like the podcast, I just want a good product, like a good end product. Like when we hit send, it's something I can be proud of.
You know what that looks like?
It's funny you use those words, because I was going to express that in this kind of letting go. My ex-girlfriend, which I talk about all the time because she's awesome, she is the single most driving force as far as the way you operate. So she made me contemplate a lot of my emotions, kind of go over my thoughts and actions and what's going on with me, what it means. But her main phrase was, "What does that look like?" And I just told her the other day that anytime I hear somebody say, "What does that look like?" it makes me chuckle, because she used to hit me with that shit all the time.
You gotta have vision,
because you have to have vision. And the thing about it is, right? Like T, I would ask you, like, you say like you want us to have a good podcast, right? Again, but what does that look like? So what that means, right? And it makes you break it down. When you say that, it makes you break it down in a million different things. So what does that look like? Does it look like 2 chairs? What do the chairs look like? How do we get the chairs? Does it look like 2 mics? What are the mics? Where do we get the mics? Who's producing the podcast? Where are we doing the podcast? What is our equipment like? And the fact, those words, what does it look like, makes you break it down into so many different layers.
Absolutely.
So it's like the most key phrase, and every time I have to say it to myself, I'm like, what does that look like? I chuckle, because she like ingrained that in me. But yeah, to say what does it look like?
That's what Oprah always says on her podcast.
Is that what? Oprah's got a podcast?
Yeah.
God, we're never gonna be rich.
Got a podcast.
We're never gonna be rich, dog.
Right.
God damn it. But yeah, to say I really know kind of what that looks like, I don't know yet. I could break it down into certain aspects
of my life.
That's
what you got to look at first, though, because I think the obsession will have you building it up to be something that at the surface is not there yet. You know what I mean? So if you know what it's looking like, you taking those steps to get to where you need to go.
Yeah. So I guess what a good episode would look like would just a clean episode. You know what I mean? So something that me and T can laugh at. I mean, if me and T can laugh at it, then I think I would forever be okay with it. And I feel like somebody else can relate to it and somebody else can laugh at it. So to me, that's what a clean episode. Clean with edits, obviously no blank spots, no missing anything like that, and just something me and T could laugh at. I think that's what the obsession for the podcast looks like.
You feel like y'all had that?
For the most part. I mean, just to be perfect transparency, what's frustrating, Robert, is I took on a new responsibility, and I wasn't doing it to 100% per se. So there was an episode with a blank spot, and then I keep forgetting to post to take out the word final when you upload it to SoundCloud, and it irks him.
My favorite part.
So that was really, and I did it like 2 weeks in a row. So that was frustrating on his part. So
that's fair though.
Yeah, and it's perfectly fair. Like looking back on it, it's fair. But when we were having the conversation, and I'll be, we're letting go. I don't like conflict. Like I'm a happy-go-lucky dude. Like especially if we're friends. Like if we're friends, I don't ever want to fight with my friends, because that's not to me. That's not what a friendship is. Like in my opinion, I'm wrong, but so it was really like the first time me and Rob, low-key kind of got into it. So it kind of threw me for a loop. So I went straight into defense mode. when I just started making up, excuses why it wasn't this and why it wasn't that. So, but all that was just, me putting my guard up, putting the shield up to kind of block what the actual truth was.
And it worked out because, in the moment, it didn't go over well.
Yeah.
But we were able to work it out again. And, again, it's because we're brothers. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing that me and Wayne can argue for hours in here. And then right as we walk out, it's like, I love you, man. I love you, too. And we're on our way.
Is there anything that, that, because you just shared the story, right? Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts about if something like that were to happen, what would you do?
Again? Like if it was to come up again?
Yeah.
I would just tell him that, hey, I can't get it done today. Can you help me? Is what we came up with would be the plan. Just because, and we joke about it on our podcast, but we have a saying, Robert does 95% of the work, I do 5%. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. So, but because Robert's personality, like he just described, he is obsessed with it. And so and when you know this, I take a back seat to Rob when it comes to our podcast. Yeah. So I kind of let him guide the ship, and I trust him because I know he's so focused on this, he's not gonna deviate. So for the most part, I'm cool with every direction he went into. So I can see that a lot. It was it was adding on his plate, so he needed help.
Yeah, and
so the plan is for him to edit by Wednesday, get it to you on Thursday, and get it to me on Friday. Friday is probably the busiest day at my job for me. So it's tough, and our podcasts go pretty long, so it's tough for me to really listen. I get it done. I'm gonna get it done, but it is tough for me to listen to a 2-hour plus episode. Listen for the edits, listen for blank spots, get it up to SoundCloud, and then write something catchy. And trying to manage, 18 slapdicks around at the job all at the same time. So. It's just a balance that I'm trying to find, and my attention to detail is not like Robert's.
Yeah.
To where I'm okay with. At the time, I was okay with a little 10-second blank spot here and stuff there. Like I didn't know it was a big deal, even though in my mind I know I want this to be a good product. I've heard other podcasts that have that.
Yeah.
And they've you've heard the loop where they say the same thing over and over, but then it catches back on.
Yeah.
So I've seen other podcasts fuck ups. So I was thinking that's, and we're very transparent on ours. So I was thinking they're on the journey with us. But.
Yeah. No, and this is cool because I feel like y'all can both learn so much from each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because he's so serious and tight and tedious, and you're kind of like, I'm the talent. I go with the flow. Like I feel like y'all can really, even the fact that you said that you're over. What was the word that you used earlier?
Obsessive.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You can do it too much, and the fact that you're so carefree, I think y'all can be in the middle.
Yeah,
I think when that happens, the podcast is going to be stupid dope.
I think
it's already really dope now, but it's going to be stupid dope.
I think, and I think Robert would agree. We had a really good balance, and I think for a 4-week period, my portion of it, I was too loosey goosey.
Yeah,
and maybe Robert was just a little too, and so it threw off the perfect mix.
Yeah.
That we had, because I forget what episode it was, but Rob will tell you that I was just the right amount of loosey-goosey, or whatever you want to call it, and he's just the right amount of serious. And if I was any less, and he says it on the pod, if I was any less loose, it wouldn't work for him. And then I was a little less, and it didn't work, So
yeah, that's interesting. I think that, because so I get to sit in the room while y'all are doing the podcast, and so to me, it's good, like even for what it is, like, and I know that you're listening to it differently because it's with more of a critiquing kind of ear, but I just want to let y'all know that outside of all of that, other people who hear it think it's good, in my opinion. Even though you hear all of that other stuff, it's good, just as is. So I mean, I'm sure you want it to get better, but I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate that for sure.
I appreciate that,
and I think me and him did kind of reach like an understanding too in that conversation. So if there was a moment where he felt like, I'm not gonna be able to get this done, or I won't be able to meet this deadline or whatever, meet that expectation, I'm already obsessed. So I got that a little extra. So I was like, I'll help out with your portion just to make it good, because I think, and I what I tried to make clear to him, I was like, if I ever deviate from that, I'll tell you, I'll help you out with your portion of it if you need it. But if my actions ever don't match up with what I'm telling you right now, then check me, call me on it, because I want to. I'm obsessed with it, right? So I'm willing to give that extra step. So if ever something's falling short, just let me know. And
is it obsession or just passionate?
I think it's both. I think it's an obsession based on what I read. Literally, it's called OP, obsessive passion. So that's what it's called. So I don't the balance, and this is what I'm trying to let go. I think the balance is I want to find a balance. I'm going to look at it like it's a passion, and try not to let it be obsessive. Try to find maybe where that 5% is that I can.
Why do you think you're obsessive about it?
I think it's just my personality, because I mean, you know, I was like that when I was young. If you gave me like Super Mario Brothers when I was 7, I'd play it for 8 hours. Like I would just play it because I was obsessed. It'd be what I did. When I was coaching football, I would take films home with me. I was like the second DB coach. Like I was so low on the totem pole, but I would take him home and I'd watch it, and I'd come back the next day and I'd be like, "Yo, coach, dude runs this 80% of the time." You know, so I think without recognizing it until recently, knowing the very few things I am interested in, I am obsessed with. And I'm like that with gambling. I'm like that with most of my sports teams. Like I can tell you as much information as you want about most of my sports teams. I think the few things that I do love, I'm just obsessive about. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. Straight up.
Absolute facts. But I think that it's really cool, and I know that we do it often, Mike, especially just in our little collective. We talk about a lot of stuff. I think it's just like you mentioned earlier, Mike, black men getting together and just talking about stuff, and even just fixing a situation like that without having to come to blows. And I think it's dope. I think it's dope that we can sit in here and have a conversation. Y'all can be so open about that with us. You know what I'm saying? I think that's cool.
I mean, Rob doesn't want those problems if it came.
Right.
We can both agree to that. Unless it goes to the ground, then I definitely don't want that.
Not
problem.
even the ground. Hey, I'll set a minute and 30 time. A minute 30 timer on it. If this thing goes over a minute 30 time, minute
that's
30,
too long.
Yeah,
45 seconds. You're good.
Yeah, you better come get this work.
I'm trying
If it goes over a minute 30, bro,
if I can't get him on punch 1 or 2, I'm in trouble.
Yeah,
it's why. Hey,
grab
it's the reason I got no problem talking to him. You know what I'm saying?
All right. No, that was really dope. Brother T.
Yo.
Is there anything that you wanted to kind of talk about while we was here?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I want to kind of just let go, I think it's the need for me to make everyone like me. Mm-hmm. Or maybe not so much like me, just I care what people think that I shouldn't care about.
Got you.
So, and I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I put so much stake in other people's opinions about me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's one thing I wish I could just fucking let go, you know?
How you feel about yourself?
I feel good about myself, man. Like I love myself. I think I'm a pretty awesome dude. Like
I co-sign.
Yeah.
I like him a little bit.
I think I'm a solid individual. I got my head on straight. Like I've a lot of confidence in most areas. You know, there's stuff I don't feel so good about, but you know, definitely look in the mirror. I'm not ashamed of who I am.
Hey, that's all that matters.
Right. So where does the what is it about being? Is it like just being in a crowd of people? Is it just like one-on-one? Is it people that you look up to?
Everything, man. I just want, like, when you just, if you say the name Terrence Hopkins, I want it for whatever reason, I want it to be a positive thought.
Okay.
And I care about that.
Got you.
Like, I don't want you to say my name and be like, oh, he's a dickhead, he's an asshole. Like, that matters to me. And I'm not sure why.
Has anybody ever made you feel that way at any point?
Not that I can think of. But it's because I'm going out of my fucking way to make sure
that they don't.
That they don't.
Right.
That's not a negative. I don't think that's a negative or like even a weird thought. I think a lot of people are like you.
Yeah.
I think I came to a realization at some point in my like really, really early 20s because I think everyone feels that. I think everyone wants the next person to have a positive image or thought of them.
It's a hard way to live, though.
It is a hard way to live. When I got to the point where the way it works for me is I have to care about you to care what you think about me. right? So like Big Mike, I just met you, right? And in the first 15 minutes, we had a good conversation. It was all good. If you thought I was the worst person in the world, I'd be like, I just met Mike.
Right.
If me and Mike never talk to each other again, it's not the end of the world. Not that you're not an awesome dude, and I'm glad I met you now. But at that time, I didn't know you, right? So like, I'm not necessarily in the business of worrying about what you think of me. So I think if that helps, I don't know if that but I got to the point where if I know you mean nothing to my life going forward, I really couldn't care less. AKA episode 10.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like there was she had her issues with me from the moment I met her. The moment I didn't even shake her hand when I first saw her. Literally the first time I saw her, she had some issue with me. Couldn't care less.
Episode 10 is on Cover the Nobodies podcast.
Yeah.
It's on Apple Music.
Check it out. Oh yeah.
Check it out.
Thanks for plugging that.
Yes, sir.
But you know, she could come at me every way she wanted. I literally did not care about that person. So that person can never say anything, do anything to bother me. Yeah. So I don't know if that'll help you, but you know, just kind of pick and choose who you care, what they think about you. You know.
I feel it.
And I think as long as you bring in your authentic self, who the fuck cares?
Fuck 'em, yeah.
You know, if you know you bring in your most real, you at that point you have no control over what anybody could say or do. Like, you know, you don't want to go out of your way for somebody that might not give two shits about you anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does it keep you from doing anything?
It does. It does.
Okay, like
Example.
Yeah. Well, give me an example, one, but I also want to know if does it keep you from doing things that you really want to do? Like, so it's twofold. It can keep you from things that you don't really care about. You know what I'm saying? But from things that you really want to accomplish.
It keeps me from saying things that I should have said.
Got you.
So in episode 10,
yeah,
when we talked about episode 11, I should have, really gave my what I felt.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want the person to feel a certain way about it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, man. I think that they're both right, but you got to find it for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you really got to find it for yourself and speak it into yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to challenge those thoughts because, I mean, nobody else is in your head. So I wouldn't. Listening to you say that now explains a lot about episode 10 and the way that you felt afterwards. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now I get it a little bit more because I'm at the point now where I'm like, what? Like, nigga, you tripping.
Yeah.
You know, but I had to get there too. Like, I wasn't always, even with art at times, I can fluctuate between, I really care about what. Nah, I was like that for a long time, and now I finally don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? But you'll find that the more that you explore it, you'll find it for yourself how to manage it. I'll say. You gonna say something?
Just in the art department where you're saying like worrying about what people.
Yeah.
Like when you post a video, like when you're about to post a video, you struggle with it so hard because you're worried about what people are gonna think at the end. If you laugh at it, it's good to go. Like every time I do a stupid little post, if I chuckle when I do it, I'm like, send that shit. Yeah. Even a little bit. If I chuckle a little bit, and I think that ties into that. It's like you're really worried about how it comes off, and to Mike's point, just do you, and it'll be authentic.
But I understand it's tough though.
It is tough.
I mean, I'm the same way because I do care what people say.
Yeah.
You know, my feelings do get hurt. Yeah. So
I think. Sorry to cut you, but I think because I'm a sensitive dude.
Yeah.
Deep down, like I'm a sensitive guy, so. I nigga be in his feelings. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just, I don't know. That's all. I'm sensitive.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. I just want you to, whatever it, because even the fact that y'all started doing this, I remember when y'all first started doing the podcast and you were talking.
The lost tapes?
Hell yeah, the lost tapes. He was like, wait, stop it. Stop it. But I've done that too. But you were talking about how this is something that you really wanted to do and that you're so happy that you're doing it and you're like in the transition in your life. And when I talk about why I built this and why the studio is here, it's for reasons like I told you this before. Mm-hmm. Like it's for reasons like that. Like for you to really get to do what it is that you always wanted to do or at some point in life wanted to do, but for some reason or another hadn't done it. And the fact that you were in here and you were expressing that, I just want you to continue to feel that, and don't let anything hold you back from doing the things that you really want to explore. And you can baby step into it, just try it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But it's so liberating to just live. And even if somebody has something negative to say about you, okay. And I know how liberating that is. So I really would love to watch you experience it, because I got to see a glimpse of it. You know what I'm saying? And so just find it, whatever it is for you. Like, I talk about it all the time. Music is what helped me express myself. Like, there was a lot in me that I didn't know was there. I'm sure Mike, writing his journals and going back and reading those journals, he was like, man, he could see his growth in it. Like, whatever it is, find it. You know what I'm saying? It could be sports, and there might be a way that you can work it into that, but I don't know. Yeah. I just wanted to encourage you to do that, man, because you're a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talk about you're a bigger dude, but you dress well. You know what I'm saying? Like,
appreciate that.
That is a nice shirt.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you doing your thing, and I don't know, man. You're a black man, and I really just want black men to feel like I'm a king, and you're a king, black man, and you're a king, and white man, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all kings. We can all be, but I just want to see that all the time in black men. And I know I don't always have it, and that's why having conversations like this is so cool, so that it can encourage us. Because a lot of time, I used to isolate. I don't know about y'all, but I'm talking a lot. I just wanted to say, I think you're dope.
Appreciate that.
And I want you to continue to grow and find you and be you and love the fuck out of you.
And I would encourage you, and I mean, I know he's sitting right next to you, so it's gonna be like hard to envision him as somebody you really could learn a whole lot from. He's sitting right here, but listen to he snickers. But I honestly, like, I said it twice now, but no joke. That last podcast you did it told me a lot about you in a real short span. But I haven't listened. Like, I've only listened to the last 2 of your guys' podcasts, so I can go back. But just hearing how he kind of reflects on things, I think would do you a lot of good, just to kind of reflect on yourself, just in your moments right before you turn on NCAA, you know, just 5 minutes, kind of dissect your day, kind of how you thought and felt. And it's something sounds like he's really good at being reflective. I think you could get a lot from that.
I think another thing that I do is I just keep everything on the surface.
Yeah,
I don't get
100%.
Yeah. And I struggle with, even just with, like, myself, like, how do I really feel? Because everything is just, I want to be in a good mood. I don't want to have stress. You know what I mean? It's like, I keep everything at a certain level.
What does that look like? That's how you get it.
Yeah,
just remember, hey, I don't want to be stressed. What does that look like? How do you go about that? Where are you dancing in your house? Cool. How do you get there? Do you have to play music? What does that look like? Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And those are the key words, man.
I would say too, if you stressed, then be fucking stressed, and just let the feeling pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't fight. However it is that you really feel, just all right, I'm stressed out right now, and that's just what it is. And it's a lot more comforting to try not to be something else while you are stressed. Like, it's like, oh shit, I'm really stressed. And you just let people know, like, hey, I'm a little, if you can, like at work or something, I'm a little stressed out right now.
I started off last podcast, let y'all know right away, I'm in a bad fucking mood.
Yeah, straight up.
It's like,
straight up.
I'm in a bad fucking mood.
Straight
so
up.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah,
and
straight
that was
up.
the truth. I was just in a bad mood.
So yeah, sometimes it's just, you just gotta embrace it and let it be what it is, and you know what I'm saying. Don't stay in it.
Yeah.
But
I definitely agree with that though. I know for myself, just from experience, like dealing with all kind of emotions, like wanting to feel a different way. Once I started accepting, like, yeah, I feel down right now, and once I accepted that shit, felt it felt easier to get through, because it's like everything that you've probably ever felt in your life, you probably felt at some point in your life, and you got through it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, you're gonna get through it. You just gotta go through it.
And it'll help you appreciate the good times, knowing that you're in a
Absolutely.
bad spot now. Like, if you don't know you're in a bad spot, when the good times come, you're gonna look at it the same way. Like, I'm gonna temper that. Like, I'm not supposed to, you know. But knowing that you're in a bad spot, when you get out of that, just being regular, you'll be like, I feel good now.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels amazing.
Yeah, nah. I feel like you guys said, it's a work in progress. Like, I knew I was in a bad spot a couple months ago, and I was just talking to Rob, like, yo, I'm about to walk out.
Yeah.
Like, I was just, I'm not that dude. And I just knew my mental was just, it was gone.
Yeah.
Like I was defeated.
Yeah.
So I think obviously leaving that old job, working with the new company, and then just doing this podcast, working out, making myself go on these fucking hikes to Runyon Canyon, like just shit like that is like really,
That's what's up.
you know, kind of bringing me back to like, you know, the old bugs, like how I was. So
A better place.
better place, baby steps. But you know, if I can get to not really give a fuck what other people think,
Yeah.
I just know myself. I'll just be so much looser, like freer.
Just keep living life, man.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like you're living life right now.
Yeah,
And that's, as long as you're doing that, you're going to be straight.
for sure.
Everyone's a work in progress until
You'll
we're
be straight.
dead.
Yep.
So
Yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate y'all coming on. Like I said, I've known Rob since Ben.
hey.
And I just got to meet T really. I mean, I know T, but it was kind of
Yeah.
like when me and Mike were in college. Like, we
Yeah.
knew each other. We were cool, but we didn't really know each other.
For whatever reason, you older kids fucking intimidated me back in high school.
He-
I was an intimidating
he was-
guy.
me and you
Not at all.
combined. Me and you
Right.
combined
Yeah.
weighed as much as
Right.
what?
Right.
You
It was
could have
that-
body
I don't
something.
know.
Us
Yeah,
both.
it's that mental thing though. I don't get it.
That little brother thing.
That little brother thing.
Yeah, I get it.
No, I feel that. But it's really cool. Like, this has been really, y'all have introduced, or not introduced, but brought back a lot of people from my past that I haven't talked to in forever.
Mm.
And so having that on you all's podcast has been really dope for me. Do you want to?
Fred comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
pick
I
him
was
up from the
ready.
airport.
That's dope. I need to see Fred.
How long are you in
ASAP.
town for?
3 or 4 days.
Do we need to do an emergency episode?
We'll see.
Let me know.
We'll see.
Let me know. But I do want to. On that note, I do want to say. I don't know if I should say it, but I want to say it. Rest in peace, Quentin.
Yeah.
That shit is crazy.
Yep.
Like, it's really crazy.
Mhm.
And I haven't talked to Quentin in years, but like, I feel something. Yeah.
He was a good dude, man. Like, I don't think you really met him, huh?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was Shamir, Fred's sister's like
Yeah.
good friend.
Yeah.
So whenever I was with Fred, and Q was a good dude, man.
Yeah.
Q was a real good dude. I mean, I didn't really talk to him much outside of high school, but in all the interactions I ever had with him, he was a good dude. So I'll sentiment that. I'll second that and say
Yeah,
rest in
man.
peace, man.
That's he passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
He was young, man. He was young. Man, it's crazy. But yeah. So thank y'all for coming on.
Appreciate the invite.
Where can we find you all on social media or online or?
Yeah, social media. You can find the podcast at The Couple of Nobodies Pod on Instagram. You can find me at Pretty Boy Boogie
Of course.
on
Pretty
Instagram.
boy.
Of course. But yeah, we're also on Apple Podcast and YouTube, Stitcher Radio, Google Music Play.
Spotify, I think.
I don't know if we're up on Spotify. Spotify's a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a tricky situation.
Yeah.
Spotify.
You all on SoundCloud too?
We are on
SoundCloud, all that
SoundCloud,
good
yeah.
stuff. So we are
We out
accessible.
here.
Yeah, we out here.
We out here.
That's what's up, man. Brother Mike.
You can find me at Just Mike Brown on all social media. PrimoMiguel.com and
AKA Big Mike.
yes, aka Big Mike. You can find this podcast at the Art of Letting Go podcast on SoundCloud and Apple Music.
And hashtag, that's your, Big Mike is your new hashtag.
Big Mike.
And you can find me on social media up Alpha Presents, ALFPHA_presents on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. You can find me under Wayne Michael. And Mike, you got anything else you wanna? Oh, go ahead, Rob. You got something you want to say?
Yeah, we didn't actually thank you. We didn't say that we appreciate you guys for doing our podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, we didn't get to say that during it. So thank
It
you
was
guys.
a lot of fun.
That was super fun.
Yeah.
That was
Absolutely.
way fun. That was a really good time. So I appreciate this whole thing, doing the crossover with us. And I should be getting my mics back soon, so I might not have to come back to your
Hey,
house
let
again
me
now.
know, man. Let me know. Let me know. I'm there too.
But yeah, if we get our mics, you know, I know you live in the Valley. Culver City's a lot closer to Long Beach, man.
Absolutely.
So repeat guests. I'd love to have you guys on. But thank you guys. I appreciate this.
Thank
for
you
real.
guys.
For
Real
real.
talk.
For real.
Appreciate
For real.
Appreciate you
No
guys.
problem.
I feel good though.
This does feel good, man. I'm not
I
gonna
do
lie.
feel good.
Letting go's good. Letting go feels good. I might
good.
have to just come back just to do this every Tuesday.
That's cool.
This is Mike Brown.
This is Alpha.
And this is the art of letting go.
Letting go. Letting go.
I want to say something stupid.
Coming with it, baby. All right, y'all. Peace.